What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to Live to Metal. It's time for a big edition of What's Spinning. This edition of What's Spinning is actually going to be a contest entry into Captain Howdy John, my brother from another mother in in Canada, and he's having his 9 million subs contest, and it's his Redux contest, as he calls it, and for whatever reason, back when he took a break from the VC, and he did a contest right before he did that, and ended it early, and I ended up getting in way late, but I still did one. So I thought this time I would do it on time before the deadline. So this is a contest entry for Captain Howdy's. I can't remember how many subs it is now. He's got like 16, 18. I don't know. He's got a lot. So anyhow. One of the questions he asked was, show an album that has a cover song that is better, or that you like better than the original. And I love cover songs, frankly. I love tribute albums. I love hearing like my favorite bands doing some of my other favorite band songs. So coming up with just a handful of these was difficult for me because I could think of so many. Matter of fact, there's one playing in the background. This is a Dio tribute album, and Fate's Warning does just a fantastic job with Sign of the Southern Cross. I just love this song, so that's kind of why I pulled it out to play while I was doing this video. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and show some. So this is Red's Silent Screams from 1989, I believe, or 88, somewhere in that area. And they do a cover of Presence of the Lord on here, and I've always loved that song to begin with. Written by Eric Clapton, recorded by, I wanted to say Cream, but it's recorded by Blind Faith. But this version on here has Glenn Kaiser singing on it, and it just has such a growl to it and such an emotion to it, and I really love this version. I think it's far superior to the original. That's just my opinion. You know, that's what he asked for. So anyhow, yeah, this is their Red Silent Screams. Great album from Reds, probably one of my favorites from them. One of my obvious choices, and one that I was actually going to pick, was Aerosmith's version of Come Together. I've never been a huge Beatles fan. I do appreciate the Beatles, and I like the Beatles for what they are, but frankly, I've always liked a lot of the covers better than I've actually liked the originals. So anyhow, I don't know why I got into that, because I didn't actually pick that album. Maybe it's because of this one. This is Rat's first EP. This is the Time Coast Atlantic version with the 5 or 6 songs, whatever it is. And on here they do a cover of Rufus Thomas's Walkin' the Dog. Of course, Aerosmith covered that same song in their very first album, and Rat also covered it. Has a total Aerosmith groove. Always loved their version of this. Do I think it's better than Aerosmith version? Not really. I think it's as good as, but I definitely like it better than the original Rufus Thomas version, which I have heard as well. So, and I must admit, I heard the Aerosmith version first before I ever even knew that who Rufus Thomas was, or that he did that song originally. So, kind of an unfair choice, but still, I like the Rat version as well as the Aerosmith version of Walkin' the Dog, or if you have the original pressing of the first Aerosmith, Walkin' the Dig. This next one is one of my favorite new wave of British heavy metal bands, 1980 Raven, their first full-length album. This is Rock Until You Drop, and on the back of this album you'll see that they do actually the back of this one's autographed, and several of these were autographed, the original pressings by the band before they were sent out to record stores. But yeah, there is a cover of Sweet's Hellraiser and Action on here, kind of a medley of those two songs. Man, I love the Sweets, but I heard this before I was familiar with the Sweets. I was in high school when I heard this, must have been 1981 or so, and I just thought that was a killer thrash song, a killer heavy metal song. Come to find out, it's a Sweet song. Now, I like the Sweet version too, but man, there's just no denying the pure lunacy of this version here. So, speaking of that, I almost chose their Break the Chain EP with their version of Born to Be Wild on there, because man, that's just the best cover ever, with Udo Dirkschneider singing vocals with John Gallagher. But I went with Hellraiser and Action. So next one, US heavy metal band Manila Road, and on this album they do a cover of DOA by Oh man, as soon as I said it, I forgot who it was. Oh, come on, that's annoying. I gotta look it up. Alright. Blood Rock, there it is. Blood Rock. You know what? That threw me off because I was thinking Blood Feast, and yeah, it's not Blood Feast, it's Blood Rock. Alright, so anyhow, killer version. The thing I like, when I think of a cover song that I like better than the original, the band has to take it and make it their own. It has to become their very own song. When my band recorded our very first cover song, we recorded this song by Vengeance Rising called Burn, and people thought it was our original song. It wasn't. We were glad that people thought that because, not because we wanted to rip off Vengeance Rising, but because they thought it sounded like us. So that's kind of where I like cover songs. And this version of DOA, it's just fantastic. It doesn't like, some cover songs like in the middle of an album, they kind of like throw the album off, you know. The album's flowing along and it kind of hits a wall at the cover song. But not this one. DOA fits right in with the rest of the album and I absolutely love it. Very dark, heavy song, even before Manila Road recorded it. But Manila Road, like I said, made it their own. And another cover song that I love, this is Molly Hatchet's first album. They do Allman Brothers and Dreams I'll Never See, and yeah, there's just no comparison in my mind. I mean, I like the Allman Brothers too, but this version of Dreams I'll Never See is just the ultimate version. I don't think anybody will do a version quite as good as this one. The passion that's in that song, the sound, you know, very 70s sounding, but still very, I don't know, it has this emotion that grabs me and keeps me there when it's playing. They also do an acoustic version on one of their later albums that I love as well, but Dreams I'll Never See, originally by the Allman Brothers. Okay, next up in my cover songs. Hope the music's not too loud. I'm just really loving this song. But anyhow, next up is a cover song that everybody's covered. I mean, it's been covered, I'd say hundreds of times probably. But the first time I ever heard it was here, Amboy Dukes. This is the Amboy Dukes' first album from 1967, I believe. And they do a cover of, where is it here? Big Please Don't Go. Joe Williams is the writer of the song. Who recorded it originally? I have no idea, but it's basically an old boogie blues song. And here the Amboy Dukes do it, and they do a fantastic version. It's actually the first version I ever heard. And I think it's really good. I think it was actually ahead of its time. It was very heavy because of Nugent's, even then Nugent's guitar tone on that song was fairly heavy. But this is not my favorite version of the song. I like that version. And I really like the version on here. This is Honkin' on Bobo by Aerosmith. This is an all blues cover album, except for like one original song. But again, they do on here, Baby Please Don't Go. Same song, but they give it the Aerosmith groove, and I think they do a great job at it. But one I like even better than that, this is AC/DC, High Voltage, and what do? Baby Please Don't Go. This is one of their signature songs early on, and they did a great job of it. I love the song, I love the version on here, and I play it quite often actually. But the ultimate version is actually Ted Nugent, Double Live Gonzo. I love the version of Baby Please Don't Go on here. Such a heavy vibe, so much energy and raw, guttural rock and roll. Just exactly what I love. And I love this album. I had it since I was a kid, and that song just as much. It's just a classic song, and Nugent makes it his own. It sounds like a Ted Nugent song. So there you go. There are some cover songs that I like better than the original. Next up, he asked to show some albums by bands I don't know, that broke up, came back, and it put them back on the map, or who lost popularity, and you know, whatever, comeback albums basically. So I grabbed some. I grabbed a handful. I could have grabbed a ton because I just think there's so many that I liked. But I had to grab a little bit of thrash, of course. Hyrax, New Age of Terror. In my opinion, this is their best album. After breaking up, they came back, they put out an EP. They got Glenn Rogers and Dave Watson on guitar. Glenn, of course, went on to be with Heretic and a bunch of other bands, and is in a new band now who's really awesome. Can't wait to announce with that band. And then Dave Watson, who went on to, well, he's been played in a bunch of different bands too. But of course, you know, the main guy you have here is where'd he go? Kate DePena. But Glenn Rogers did a lot of the writing on here. This is their best album. So not only did it put them back on the map you know, among thrash fans, but I think it put them on the top of the heap. Their first few albums are more of a crossover thrash style. This is just pure heavy metal thrash, and like I said, I just love this album. So I also got Angelo Espino on bass. Actually played in a band called Once Dead, and Angelo was our bass player. Very, very cool guy. So Hyrax, New Age of Terror. This is an original from I think it was 2001. This is an original Mausoleum version, Mausoleum Records. This band basically, they didn't break up, but they had to stop because their guitar player, Mark Gallagher, was crushed by a wall and had to rehabilitate his leg. They were worried he would have to amputate. He ended up getting through it, rehabilitating, and they're playing again. But this was their big comeback album, their first studio album, and it was like 8 or 9 years. I can't remember the exact amount of time, but it was a long time. And this is prime Raven, athletic rock at its best. This is what Raven sound like. You know, this is just great stuff. Pure speed metal, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. You know, that Raven hysteria sound. I love this record. So this is Walk Through Fire. What year did this come out? This is on High Roller Records. I can't remember what year it was. It's probably like 2011 or so, 2012, somewhere in that area. Walk Through Fire, Raven. Another thrash metal band, of course. This band did break up for a little while, came back, got some of the original members back, hired Andy Sneap, and put out their first studio record. This is Testament's the Formation of Damnation. Of course, the songs and are all about puppy dogs and fluffy rain clouds and flowers and stuff. Right, it's Testament. It's exactly what you want to hear from Testament. Alex Skolnick back on lead guitar with Eric Peterson. This was Testament back in their prime, in my opinion. However, despite the fact that this album is so good and put them back on the map, I think they continue to get better with each album. And their album last year was the best they've done in a long time. But regardless, this is the one that came back, put them back on the map, and I think it's a great comeback record from Testament. And finally, I think one of the greatest comeback records of all time from the UK. This is Deep Purple. This was the reunion of Richie Blackmore and Ian Gillan. I love Richie Blackmore and I love Ian Gillan. But this is basically the whole, you know, I'm not going to say the original band, but this is the original Mach 2 era Deep Purple. And this album definitely put them back on the map. Generated a few hits, many of which are still played on FM classic rock stations today. So there you go. Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers, 1984, I think. 84. So great record from them. Great comeback album. Too bad the reunion didn't last that long. The band, they put out a few more things, but you know, they started parting their ways, and Gillan left, and then Gillan came back, and Blackmore left. Yeah, that's it. Do check out, if you haven't already, SMFCptHowdy's channel. I'm sure if you watch my channel, you know who he is. I've mentioned him multiple times. He is a good friend of mine. So I appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Stay strong.